feel the Spirit moving in me. I 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 feel the joy 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 moving in me. I feel the presence 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 moving in me. I feel the joy 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 moving in me. How many of y'all feel joy this morning? Well. I feel the presence moving in me. 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 Woo! Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie Watkins Jr. Do you feel the presence this morning? Do you feel the energy? Do you feel the goodness? Do you feel the compassion and mercy? Because that's what you are. That's what I am. The glory and goodness and kindness and compassion, creativity and wisdom of God showing up in our lives through us, through our gathering together. Here today, we're here together to do something good and important, worthwhile and powerful. And that is to come together and to, in consciousness, create a better idea for ourselves, a more loving and joyful, prosperous and healthy idea. So know today that you've come to do some good, important work, and that every one of us here is going to leave here feeling blessed and prospered. You know, all life asks, all it requires is the opportunity to appear. You are that opportunity, and so am I. It's the purpose of our wonderful teaching to keep us reminded of this essential truth in our lives and to help this truth show up in our lives in a greater, more loving and dynamic way. I only ask you to do one simple thing each Sunday, and that's to leave all your troubles, your fears, your would-haves, your could-haves, your should-haves, to leave all that stuff outside. And for the next 45 minutes or so, to open up an avenue of spirit possibilities in your life. And what are spirit possibilities? Well, they're for more joy, more love, more great music, all those things that make us feel alive. Because that's what God is doing through you. That's what God is doing through me. Showing up in the physical, recognizing itself through our love, our joy, our laughter. So know you're in a great place this morning, and Spirit is going to recognize and reward you abundantly. So thank you much for being here. All right. Well, to get our service going, we're going to have a practitioner come up and do a treatment for us. So, Jim, come on up and do a treatment for us.
Good morning. This week, I had a friend email me from some years ago. I haven't heard from her in a few years, and many of you may know her. Her name is Evelyn Cars. Yeah, it was good to hear from her. Evelyn and Bob are doing okay. They can use your prayer work if you are inclined to. If you don't know them, just know that this person, this couple, has really helped this center for years and years and years, was a pillar of this community for a lot of years, and just send them love and compassion and know that they're in the right and perfect place. With her email, it made me kind of think of all the teachers that have passed my way. You know, some of the teachers have taught me from a place of great wisdom or a place of great compassion. But also some really good teachers have taught me from a place of fear or frustration or anger. They've taught me what it's like to be angry or fearful. So what I'm asking you to do for your homework this week, it's just think about all the teachers that have crossed your path and how they have affected you in a positive way. Even some of those teachers that may not have been appreciated at the time that they were there. But now, with a little bit of time behind you, you can really more appreciate them. So I'm going to do an affirmative prayer, and I'm going to do it just a little bit different this morning. I'm going to do the prayer, and then afterwards we're going to have a moment of silence. And during that moment of silence, you might think about some of those people that have helped you in the past, that have taught you, that have given you some wisdom, and appreciate what they've done for you. So let's go into our affirmative prayer. And just be present for the moment. We can listen to Eddie's organ, to the traffic, to my voice, and we can still be here in a most affirmative way. And know with me that there is one divine intelligence, and that intelligence is here with us. It guides us, it teaches us, it loves us. It provides all this beauty. It provides us with these teachers if our eyes are open. So this morning, let's metaphorically open our eyes to all the beauty, all the teachers, all the wisdom that floats by our eyes and awareness. And know that we are gaining in wisdom, gaining in compassion and love and understanding, even for some of those people that were a challenge in our past. And know also that this divine intelligence is within us. And if we can open our heart and mind, it can come from us and help others around us. This divine intelligence is an awesome energy that we can feel right here this morning. So know with me that these are true statements which I am making, that this divine energy is within us and outside of us and all around us and supports us in a loving manner. So let's go into a moment of silence and just be here totally. Thank those teachers that have touched us. Thank the divine intelligence for being within us. Know that we are guided by love, compassion, and the beauty within us. I give thanks for this time together, and I can release this prayer, these prayers to be so easily and simply by saying, and so it is. Anyone would like to email Evelyn, I have her email address. You can see me after service. Thank you.
All right, are you ready to sing? All right. Now, this is a song that we're going to be singing every single week as our sing-along, and it's called I Am As God Created Me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. That's it. Those are all of the words. Of course, now the second part of it goes in the light, in the love, in the glory, in the light, in the love, in the glory, in the light, in the love, in the glory, I am. Okay? So, if after you hear it 50,000 times, you'll remember it. But it goes like this. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. Second part goes like this. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am. Here we go. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. You got it? I am. Yeah. Sounding good. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am. Here we go. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the light, in the love, in the glory. Here we go. Yeah. Come on. I am in the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory. Awesome, you guys. You guys are awesome.
And you're awesome, Eddie Watkins Jr. In the light and the love and the glory, I am as God created me. You've come from love. You've come from glory. And so you're here to experience it. It's the only reason you're here, for you to know yourself as God knows you. Wonderful and joyful, powerful, loving, kind, and compassionate. That's what we're doing here today. Now, my talk I had originally entitled Prayer Power, but I'm going to change that. And I'm going to use an old title from Kennedy Schultz. He said, Dare to Pray Effectively. dare to pray effectively, because that's what our teaching is about. This chapter that I'm using in the Science of Mind textbook is again on prayer, but Dr. Holmes, the founder of our teaching, he switched and started calling it treatment, because he really wanted to differentiate how we were communicating with Spirit, with God. That's what he's talking about. Prayer as a form of communicating with Spirit. So he's talking about treatment as almost like a medical, almost like you're doing something to treat your spirit and your soul. And it starts off with a knowing that you have this indwelling Spirit within you that is God, the creator of the universe, is forever seeking to know itself through you, through your joy, your love, your health, and your happiness. And that by using this practice of prayer, you can unify yourself with this great power and know you're one with it and know that you're one with all and that you don't have anything to fear, that you don't have anything to worry about, that to know that you are part of the unfolding of the great glory of all that is. Now, effective prayer starts with a consciousness of love and a realization that Spirit is always at work for us, for our good. That the good we are seeking in life is the God seeking us. The good you're looking for is looking for you. And you don't need permission for it. It's already been given to you. You just have to step up and be willing to put it to use in your life. You have to allow the love of God to flow through you by giving it a vision of what you want to have. And that vision needs to be something that you can believe in, you can work towards, and put faith in. It can't be pie in the sky. It can't be winning the lotto. How many times have I had people want treatment so they could win the lottery? It can't be that. If you can't believe in it, if you can't see yourself in it, then how do you expect the intelligence of the universe to put any energy towards it? It has to be something you can believe in for yourself. Now, Spirit is forever taking form and then abandoning the form it's taken. So our goal is to identify with the best part of our lives. To say, yes, that's coming through me. And then those parts that are not so great, deal with them as best we can, but not give them any more energy. That's the trick. Don't give them any more energy. And we have a tendency to do just the opposite. We minimize the great good that's coming in our lives. We don't talk about it. We don't affirm it. But the negative stuff, that we talk about, that we relive, that we put energy into it. My dear sister who's transitioned, when she had a bad piece of news come into her life, I always teased her. She would practically chase down the postman to get to tell him, what bad was happening in her life. No, we want to emphasize the good, because that which we look for, that which we acknowledge and affirm and give gratitude for, that becomes the law of our lives. And that's what we're going to see and deal with. We always have choices of what we're looking for, what we're seeing, and how are we dealing with it. We always have a choice. And in that choice is the power of the universe. The other day I was coming home from the grocery store. I had stopped by to get a few items, and I had gotten just a couple of bags, and so instead of just putting them in the back, I thought I would put them in the passenger seat. I was running late, so I was kind of in a hurry. I took the 3 bags and I slung them over to the passenger seat, and when I did, one of the little containers in it of freshly cut cantaloupe leaped up out of that bag like Greg Louganis off the high board. It was beautiful. It went up a beautiful arch, landed in the floorboard like a grenade John Wayne would have thrown in one of those World War II movies, and just exploded all over my floorboard. that was an option. How do I want to deal with that? Do I want to start giving energy to the voice in my head that was telling me, look what you did, you big clumsy thing, you've wasted money, you've made a mess? Do I invest energy in that? Or do I invest energy in, like, we got to clean this up? And as I was cleaning up, I thought to myself, I picked a great cantaloupe because it was big and juicy. So I put it away. I started driving home, and then the thought was, well, at least it made the car smell nice and cantaloupe-y. I've got a nice fragrance there. On the way home, I was thinking to myself, well, I've got to clean that carpet. It's got cantaloupe juice on it. It's going to be sticky. It's going to get dirty. I got to clean it. And I thought, well, I'll get the rug cleaner out, the brush out. Then a better idea came. My birthday's coming up. It's 3 months off, but it's coming up. Maybe I can talk, a significant other in buying me a detail for the car. That's a much better idea. But here's the lesson. Here's the thing. If I had stuck with that vibration of you're a big, clumsy oaf, you waste money, then the idea and possibility of getting the car detailed would not have come to me. And I wouldn't have been able to accept it that I deserved to have a car detailed, which I do. Cantaloupe smelling and everything. It's all a matter of what are we identifying with. The possibility of something better, or that we don't deserve something that good. What do we choose to view and see and acknowledge? Because most of life is either a blessing or a challenge. A blessing or a challenge. I was thinking about the plagues of Egypt this week. Don't ask me why. But I was thinking it was like the plagues of Egypt. Well, they were plagues for the Egyptians, frogs and bloody water and fleas and all the rest. They were plagues. But for the Jews, they were miracles. They were God's miracle. So could the Egyptians have changed those plagues into miracles? Could they have made them miracles for themselves? Well, it probably would have taken a lot of open-minded thinking. It would have had them to shift out of their identity of where they were. They would have to release a lot of ego. Because, they were basically dealing with a labor problem. The Jews were making bricks, and they had some complaints. And the way the Egyptians responded to their problem was by identifying with the problem. They said, instead of opening themselves up, they got angry and said, now we're going to demand more bricks from you, and we're going to give you less supplies. So they identified with the problem rather than opening their consciousness up, releasing their ego and saying, what is it of God that wishes to be birthed in this situation? Because in every situation, there is something of God that wants to come through. And our job is to open ourselves up to that miracle, to know that wherever we are, there is something possible that can come through that's more loving, more joyful, that will lead us to a better knowing for ourselves, that will reveal to us our more God-given passion of love and joy. This past week also, I had to go and start the little journey for a procedure that many of you my age probably have had to take. And it's not something that I've looked forward to. Actually, I'm a little year behind it, and it's my colonoscopy. Oh, joy. And so to do it, you have to pre-fill forms online, and they were quite insistent about that this had to be done. And it took a long time to get all those forms filled out. It's about a 30-minute procedure. So I really wanted or hoped that I would just go into the office, and I had a 9 o'clock appointment, and I had really hoped I'd be right in and right out and on my way. Well, I get to the office. I'm the second one there. There's a lady in front of me, and we sit in the waiting room. They ask you not to use the cell phone. There are no magazines in there, and they have a television running about all the horrible things that can happen to you if you miss these kind of appointments. So they finally call the little lady back. They wait 15 more minutes, and they call me back. So I'm sitting back there. I can't use my cell phone. There are no magazines. I'm just sitting there. And then I hear the doctor. He goes into the room behind me. Now, I'm not eavesdropping, although I am known to do that kind of stuff. But I wasn't really eavesdropping, but I could hear every word they were saying. And they quickly went from just a medical discussion, because that was pretty quick. They didn't have much to go through there. That all of a sudden this lady, and I could tell she didn't know this doctor. It wasn't like they had a personal relationship, but she basically began to unburden herself emotionally. And she began to share with him what was going on in her life that had nothing to do with this medical procedure. She and her husband had lived in St. Augustine for a long time. They felt the need to move back north to be close to relatives because they were getting a place they thought they needed help, someone looking over them. And they were leaving a whole network of friends that she called, she said, it's like leaving a family. But they feel they need to do this. And this doctor very kindly and compassionately was there listening to her. He didn't try to brush her off. He listened to what she had to say, as she really did just unburden him. And I thought to myself as I was listening to this is God in action. This is the spirit of compassion. There's an old gospel song that says, the comforter. That doctor was being the comforter to that lady in that moment. And by my recognizing that, first of all, it freed me from my impatience. And it also opened up an avenue of more of that coming into my life by me acknowledging it and giving gratitude. It opened an avenue for it. Dr. Holmes says we already live in a perfect universe. He said we already are in a perfect universe, but it has to be seen mentally before it can become part of our experience. We have to get the better idea for ourselves. He said this idea can free us from every form of bondage. And he said daily we should proclaim our freedom for ourselves, our abundance, our happiness, our joy, and our peace and prosperity. They are ours now because they are the truth of us. They are the truth of us. And we don't have to ask anyone's permission to have them in our lives. We just have to step up and put them to work in our lives. Dr. Holmes says, through prayer, you can have this unity with Spirit. And he says, once you have this unity with Spirit, you'll go out and meet everyone as one in Spirit. You will see all situations and all events in your life as one with Spirit. I was listening to a really interesting lecture on near-death experiences this past week. I'm really fascinated by near-death experiences. Dr. Holmes, almost 100 years ago, said there will come a day when science and religion will walk hand in hand. It was a far-sighted prediction. And we used to think that would come and the physics with, the small atoms and things, how they respond. But I think it's actually happening with near-death experiences because they are so common now that not only just doctors, but scientists are getting involved in them. And they know that people who have these experiences get a sense of unity with life, with God, with good. The other fascinating thing about them, they say that when they've had them, that they feel more alive in those experiences than they do in their regular life, and that they feel more hopeful, more loved. They feel at home, and that they feel that those experiences are more real than even real life. So I was listening to this lecture, and they're saying that these experiences also being caused by meditation and prayer, and not just near death, but similar such things. I was hearing a pilot. Well, actually, he wasn't a pilot. He was the navigator on a big Air Force plane. It was a type of planes, the cargo planes, big, huge, monstrous things. And they have propellers instead of engines. And so he was on this crew of this big plane, and they were going out for a long exercise, 13 hours. They got the plane up, and as soon as they got the plane up, they noticed that one of the propellers was not responding as it should. And so they needed to bring the plane back in. Now, the planes are hard to land anyway because they're so heavy. But loaded with fuel, it becomes very dangerous. They dropped as much of the fuel as they could, but they knew it was going to be a challenge to land this plane. So they called in for an emergency landing, which meant that on both sides of the runway, there were fire trucks waiting for them. They landed the plane, and the pilot freaked out. He didn't put the thrusters in to slow the plane down, and the plane immediately ran off the runway. The navigator said that when that happened, that all of a sudden his consciousness, or his sight went from his view to 360 degrees. He said he could see, it was like he was outside the plane, and he was seeing everything around the plane. And he said he focused in on one of the firemen who was sitting on top of the fire truck at a water cannon. And he said the plane went by him, and the propeller spun around 10 feet in front of his face. And he said he looked at that man, and he could saw the terror and fear in his face. The next day, the Air Force, this is back in the 80s, and they didn't have programs for post-traumatic stress. So they just put them back on the plane and said, you got to do this again. And he said he knew that if he showed 1 moment of hesitation, the Air Force would never let him fly again. So he said he got in the plane, and he said he wedged himself up between the cabin of the cockpit and his instrument. He said the people who were observing him just thought he was being bored. But he said he was terrified. He was in terror, and he needed that positioning to hold him in place. He said that night he went to bed. He had a young wife. He had a 2-year-old son. And he said he didn't pray to God, but he just had the thought. He said, God, you've got to give me something that I can hold on to, that I can go on. I can't go on like this. I've got this 2-year-old son. I need to be here for him. But I'm not going to be able to do this on my own. And he said that night he woke up in the middle of the night. And what was to be the wall of his bedroom was instead this warm, glowing light of love and compassion. And he said there was no voices. It was just this light. And he said in a moment he knew he had come from that light. He would return to that light, and that light was nothing but love, acceptance, and compassion. He said he had grew up in a fundamentalist church all his life. He said, but in that moment, he completely changed every thought he had about God. He said he knew he could join that light if he wanted to allow himself to dissolve over into that light, but he chose to stay because he said he knew his wife and his son needed him. So he chose to stay. I believe that light and that love is what we come from and what we will return to. And our lives here are some part of allowing that light to know itself through us. And I believe that what we're doing here now is important, and that God is grateful that we have come and we are making this journey, and that we are choosing to know the best for ourselves in spite of the heartache and the turmoil and the challenges. Dr. Holmes says the greatest good we're able to conceive, we should affirm on a daily basis. Get a great idea about yourself and hold on to it no matter what. And don't let yourself be talked out of it. That which created the rings of Saturn has no problem getting you the love you seek, has no problem getting you the health you want or the finances. That which has put the universe into motion is working for you here now. Our greatest idea can come to us when we know we're worthy of it. And we know that we have a power flowing through us, that right where we are, right as we are, God is seeking to all us, all you, with how much love it can bring in your life, all you with how much prosperity and health and abundance it can bring into your life. Now, we've got a power and we've got a challenge. Our challenge is to overcome this virus. Our challenge is to get this center back running. Our challenge is to get a youth program full of young people. Our challenge is to get our scholarships up and going so we can help these young people with disabilities get to college, so we can help women who are fleeing violence get entrepreneurial skills. That's our challenge, and there's no challenge to God. We're able to do it. We're up to the task. We've got a power running through us. We're not weak. We're not wounded. We are powerful with the love and compassion and joy of God. It's within every one of us, and now's the time. We're the people, and we're on the move. It's the truth in your life this morning. I'm telling you, it's the truth, and so it is. Thank you.
Sometimes I forget that all my needs are met, and now and then I fall asleep thinking things I don't believe, until I wake up in gratefulness, counting all the ways I'm blessed, that all my needs are met. There were times I recall that I couldn't see the light of day, but somehow sweet spirit made a way out of no way, and that is why I testify. No matter how dark it gets, that all our needs are met. I could not have come this far without the everlasting arms, my shelter from the cold. I'm so grateful that I know, 'cause there were times when I thought I couldn't make it through another day, but somehow sweet spirit made a way out of no way, and that is why I testify. No matter how dark it gets, that all our needs are met. I could not have come this far without the everlasting arms, my shelter from the cold. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Are you grateful this morning? If you're grateful, raise your hand and say, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that I know, 'cause there were times when I thought I couldn't make it through another day, but somehow sweet spirit made a way out of no way. I saw the light, I testify. No matter how dark it gets, no matter my God-given gifts. Don't you know that all I need are made. All I need is a man. Amen. Hallelujah.
Thank you, Eddie. Yes, all our needs are met. Now, you know, as he talked about gratitude, a way to release that gratitude in your life is through contributions and giving. Our center here needs your support. We're grateful for your support. You know, you've supported this center all through this epidemic wonderfully. And we know we're moving forward, and we're going to do even so greater and bolder and dynamic things with your support. So you can support us in consciousness, that's by doing prayer work for us, or coin. Either one we greatly appreciate. And I'm going to read this affirmation of prosperity. Take your hand, put it over your heart. If you have your offering with you, put that over your heart. Or if you're consciousness, put your prayer over your heart. And just know this with me. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow. And all that I share with life returns to me, multiplied abundantly. And together we say, and so it is.
When you give, who's giving what to whom? When you receive, who's giving what to whom? When you give, knowing God is all there is, so who's giving what to whom?
Lovely. So let's conclude our service with a powerful way through affirmative prayer. I'm going to do this treatment in the first person. Take it in for yourself. If I say something that works for you, well, hold tight to that. If I say something that doesn't work for you, just let that part slide by. But just know this truth with me this morning. There is but one God and one mind, one power. And that power is perfect love. It's divine intelligence. And that power called me by name so I could walk the soil of earth, knowing myself through its love, its joy, its peace, and prosperity. So here today, I let go and release every thought of lack and limitation, every thought of victimhood and woundedness. I've played with those ideas long enough. This morning, I am choosing to know myself as God knows me. This morning, I am choosing to lift my eyes up to a greater knowing for myself, for those around me, my family, friends, and the world. This morning, I'm choosing to know that here now is heaven on earth, and I proclaim it through my divinity, my God-given right to see myself boldly compassionate, loving, and kind, to see myself walking in joy, to see myself surrounded by loving family and friends, knowing the truth for myself. This morning I lift my eyes up and I gaze unto the glory of God and saying yes to it. It's my truth. I celebrate this right knowing. Every cell of my being radiates this right knowing. And I release this prayer into the mind of God to do its good and perfect, bold and dynamic work, returning to me multiplied abundantly. And together we say, and so it is. All right, my friends, I want to leave you with one final thought, just one last idea. Your life. It's not a problem to be solved. It's a miracle unfolding. Your job this week is to go name your miracle, to proclaim your miracle, and to make it your own. God bless us all. Now let us go be the miracle God has called us to be. This is Reverend Ken. Until we see each other again, many blessings.
Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.